Welcome. You are about to take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition show. For the next hour, allow her to prepare you in becoming a magnet for a profound love-infused relationship by identifying and focusing on solutions through love. Awaken the light within and let your essence shine. And now, here's Deborah Beauvais on Love by Intuition, all part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Welcome, everyone. Bonjour, mes amis. And yes, here I am, Deborah Beauvais, founder and owner of the Dream Vision 7 radio network. We are a holistic, syndicated, Boston-based internet radio station with all the bells and whistles. You can listen to us wherever you are, what country, in the car, at home, on your mobile devices, and asking Alexa. We are also proud to be the media partner for the Omega Institute, and there's still just a few days left that you can get there or attend a workshop online with the bonus of 20% off. So you'll hear that during the breaks. And I would love to introduce my guest, and I'm so looking forward to spending some time with her. She is quite the one, may I say. Her name is Kathleen Kat Kanavos. She is the Queen of Dreams. She's a video host with our station. Her show is Dreaming Healing. And I would love to point out that you can hear her show 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time every Tuesday. And then every first and third Tuesday, she is live with video with all kinds of phenomenal guests and topics, and she does dreams. She's a dream expert. She is also a 3-time breast cancer survivor. She has taught psychology. She is an internationally syndicated columnist for Biz Catalyst 360 and Desert Health magazines. She is also award-winning bestseller for Surviving Cancerland, Dreams That Can Save Your Life, and the series that we're going to be talking about, the third book, which is Mayhem to Miracles, Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope. And it's authored by Kat as well as Reverend Ariel Patricia. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Kat.
Well, thank you, Deborah. Can you hear me okay? Because I put my
Yes, I can, perfectly clear. Yes. And for those listening right now, this is a live show, and the toll-free number is 833-220-1200. You can call and talk about or comment about the book we're going to be speaking about. But since Kat's a dream expert, you surely can call in. Bob is in the house. He'll put you through. And you can have Kat dissect your dream. So the best of both worlds here tonight. So, Kat, tell us a little bit about, and before we, and please tell, there are 5 Dream Vision 7 radio hosts, including myself, that have written stories, co-written stories in this book, and in the series, I'm actually in the 3-book series. So tell us about the series a little bit and Mayhem to Miracles.
Okay, well, the series started just kind of like an idea that Reverend Ariel Patricia and I had. We'd been introduced by a friend, and Ariel said, I'd like to do something with you. What do you think that we could do together? And I said, I've always wanted to do a multi-authored book, like a compilation book, and I'd like to do it as a series, like a 3-book series. And that's how this 3-book series was born. So the first book was Chaos to Clarity, Sacred Stories of Transformational Change. And the foreword was written by our beloved Dr. Bernie Siegel, who is one of the hosts on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. And he's also a New York Times bestselling author. And so when Ariel and I realized how well this book did, how easy it was actually to get the stories into this very first book, we decided that to immediately go into the second book, which we decided to call Sacred Stories of Transformational Joy. So each of the books, Deborah, started with Sacred Stories of Transformational, and then the first book, which was Chaos to Clarity, was change. So it dealt with change, because change is one of the fears we as human beings fear the most. The only other fear that is more substantial than the fear of change is the fear of death. And they're kind of similar, so I'm not surprised. So our second book came out, or we started working on it right smack in the middle of COVID. And I remember saying to Patricia when she said, well, what should we call the second book? And I said, well, let's bring joy into it. She was like, yeah, Sacred Stories of Transformational Joy, that's good. And I said, we need a really snappy title to the book. We were on one of our phone calls. I said, I need something snappy, like Crappy to Happy, or, and then I gave some other ones, and she said, no, that's it, Crappy to Happy. And I said, no, I was joking. I meant, maybe we could come up with something a little bit better. She goes, no, that's it, Crappy to Happy. Well, when we first offered the title to many of our authors who were in the first book who had said, we love what you guys have done, we want to be in your next book, when they heard Crappy to Happy, they were like, well, I don't know, I'm not so sure that that's going to be the book for us. You're going to do a third? Maybe we'll think about doing the third. But believe it or not, we got James Redfield, who wrote the book, The Celestine Prophecy, to write the foreword. And this second book filled up faster than the first book. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. And at first people said, well, Crappy to Happy, yeah, I don't think so. And we said, well, these are going to be true stories of grit, grace, and love. So if your story fits in that, don't focus on the title as being something that you think is not going to do well, because we just have a feeling it's going to take the world by storm. And believe it or not, it was an Amazon bestseller the first month that it was out. It stayed up there number 1. So Crappy to Happy is all about transformational joy. And so the book is actually enlightened and enlightening, not because it advocates some heady new theory or movement, but because it actually doesn't. In fact, the work it kind of transcends any quick fixes and pop psychology and focuses on something else, how to live a life fully and spiritually in the real world of pain, self-destruction. Some of the stories are about that. Self-discovery, struggles and joy. And it was being written, all the stories were coming in during the height of COVID, and we started getting COVID stories in as well. And the thing that was so incredible about the stories is how the authors were showing how crappy everything really, really was. And in the end, there was such transformation into joy. And so Ariel and I decided, okay, this is working. Let's do our third book, get this 3-book series done. And so we decided for the last one, we were going to focus on the mayhem that everybody was going through during COVID, the mayhem of losing their jobs, being locked down, going through illness, all of that mayhem, and how it would move into miracles. So we titled the book Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope, because hope can really change lives. Hope is one of those things where if you've got hope, when nothing else is working, medicine isn't working, nothing else in your life is working, if you hang on to that thread of hope, it can pull you through a situation. So, in the second book, Crappy to Happy, where we focused on joy, James Redfield described the book's message as the art of the comeback, and how with joy, people who were down in the dumps, in the crappy to happy, suddenly figured out the art of the comeback, and they made the big comeback. So in our last book, Mayhem to Miracles, I was writing about the psychology behind our obsession with hope. I mean, people are obsessed with hope. And exactly what is hope? And after doing all my research, I believe hope is the art of resilience. When life, when circumstances keep beating you down, it's that hope that pulls you up by your bootstraps. And so our third book, Mayhem to Miracle, is all these true stories of courage, triumph, and peace after coming out of the mayhem.
Right, right. Beautifully said. Well, you know, what you've been through, Kat, in your lifetime, and different things have come up since we've known each other. Where does your inner strength and positivity come from? Is it from your childhood, your parents? Was it something that you learned later in life? Because as a 3-time breast cancer survivor, you went through, you know, chemo and the surgeries and all of the different things that many women go through. And yet you are always positive and full of hope and just joy, I have to say. So where does that come from for you?
I think it comes from my inner joy. It comes from learning to roll with the punches and be able to embrace the change. And it comes from the hope that I get from my spirituality, my belief in a higher power, in God. I believe that we're all born with guardian angels. We're their job, and they really take that job seriously. So no matter how dark my hour, no matter how dire the situation, I know that I'm not alone, that I have those guardian angels, those spirit guides with me, and that gives me a sense of relief that no matter what happens, even if I take my last breath and climb out of my body, I'm not going to be alone. I don't need to be frightened because they will be there, and I'll be okay. And that gives me a sense of relief that I just really can't get from anywhere else. So that even as a child growing up, you know, we talked about this. When I was growing up, I was in Berlin, Germany when the wall went up. I was in first grade, and it was very scary. And I talk about that in this third book, Mayhem to Miracles, because I'm talking about as a dreamer. I was always a dreamer. I could always dream into the future. And in this particular story called The Face on the Pillow, I had the dream. I was dreaming the dream as a recurrent dream of my husband's face on the pillow next to me when I was only in first grade. So that it was really important to me to find that person and not marry the wrong one. You know, I can't think of anything worse than belonging to the wrong one when the right one comes along. So I always kept that in my mind.
The story amazes me on how just as a little girl you had the face in the pillow and you dreamt that and it was there and you continued with the same dream, and it followed you through till the time that you met your husband. And so, I mean, there's so much power. You know, you mentioned the spirituality, and for many people out there, they may not have a belief system in a higher being. But when you do, and you can call it anything you want, but when you do have that inner strength from knowing that we have been created, and there's guides and there's ascended masters there. Jesus is one of them, and there's angels and all of these beings. All we have to do is stop and just take a moment and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to call on my angel. I'm going to call on my guidance. You know, and so to cultivate that that belief system that you're not alone through spirituality. It's so powerful, especially in the times we're in and later on. I mean, with anything, as you know, you can call upon assistance, whether it's a problem with business, whether it's a personal issue, or whether it's just some little thing or an illness, and you will receive an answer. I wanted to ask you, a lot of times I ask right out loud. And I'll say, Lord, sometimes I'll say, okay, Lord, show me what I need to know to fix this. And a lot of times if you add to the highest good for all, then that information will come very soon. All you have to do is ask and then believe that there'll be an answer.
Absolutely. You're so right. And it's part of the law of attraction that has been so popular for a while. And it's an aspect of it that I call law of permission. In other words, our guardian angels, our spirit guides, God, everybody is watching us as we're trudging through the mud. And they're saying to each other, well, you know, if she doesn't want any help, she won't ask us for it. And so we have to respect her right to figure this out on her own if she wants to. But when you finally hit that quicksand and you find that you're sinking up to your neck, it's at that point when you use that law of permission and say, God, please help me. I'm going to be over my head in this muck in just a matter of seconds. Do something, and boom, it's there. That person comes out from behind a tree that you didn't know is there peeking at you, throws you a rope. Something happens, but it's that law of permission and that law of attraction together. You know, they say, ask and you will receive, just like you said. But there's also another one, and it's called ask not, get not. So if you don't ask, you're not going to get it.
Yes. I also think it's important to put out there that, you know, there is darkness, there are challenges, there is pain, and we all experience that throughout our lifetimes, and that's all part of life on Earth. But we can still call on assistance. It doesn't mean that it's all going to go away, but during that pain or whatever it may be, there's assistance there as well, you know, in the good times and the bad. And then there's always those nuggets of wisdom, no matter how dark it can get, that you can apply to new beginnings. And it certainly makes a difference. I don't think you ever go through the heavier times without coming out stronger and having nuggets of wisdom to apply and make your life better, full of joy, and staying with the hope train.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, there's really no uniform definition of hope, which I found very interesting when I was researching hope for the book. And they just say basically it's an elevated feeling that we believe is the path to a better future. That's basically the definition of it. But one of the reasons why I believe they don't have a definition is because it's really hard to measure hope. And, you know, the scientific world is all about, you know, labeling things and measuring things and being able to put it under a microscope and see it. But hope is not measured. It's very difficult to label. But it's the power that prevails despite or in indifference to significant obstacles, whatever they happen to be, you know, mayhem or deep pitfalls along our path to our future. So the other thing that I find so special and interesting about hope that you touched on, Deborah, is no matter how dark and how big the dark cave is that we're in, hope is that little flicker of light that we see when we light a match. As tiny as that match is, and as large as that dark cave is, as soon as you strike that match, it's no longer dark. It's no longer dark in there. And even though you can't measure that hope, it can change lives. It can create miracles. And that's what we really wanted to prove in this book, but the key elements of hope are belief and expectation, and it's really hard to measure those, but they exist.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming up on our break, and I want to make sure that everyone hears this. Kat says, don't tell God how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big your God is. I love that, how that just has a flow to it, and it's real. And for those out there that want to get in touch with Kat, her website is Kathleen, with a K, O'Keefe Kanavos, and it's Kanavos. Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos.com. The book is Mayhem to Miracles. You can find it right on Amazon, and it's number one in a couple of areas on Amazon. So you can get the book there. And we'll be back in a moment. We're going to talk a little bit about addictions. There's a number of writers in there that talk about addictions, a lot of them, and find out what this bonfire is all about. We'll be back in a moment.
Experience a different yet profound healing with Reconnective Healing. Includes yet expands beyond any and all known forms of energy healing. The Reconnective Healing spectrum is comprised of the full healing and evolutionary continuum of energy, light, and information. It allows for healings that are not just physical, not just mental, not just emotional, yet go beyond that to bring healing that includes the evolution of your very being and essence. Deborah Beauvais, trained and certified by world-renowned Dr. Eric Pearl, offers appointment hours at Seekonk Family Chiropractic in Seekonk, Massachusetts. For questions or to set up both distance or local sessions, call Deborah at 508-431-1959. Again, 508-431-1959. Or go to lovebyintuition.com. That's lovebyintuition.com.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
After narrowly surviving the attack on Sandy Hook Elementary, first grade teacher Caitlin Roy DeBellis was left searching for answers that would never come. Eventually, she chose to focus on questions that could be answered. How do I make sure this tragedy doesn't define us? How do we get our control back? Those two questions led her to found the 501c3 nonprofit organization Classes for Classes. When gifts poured into their classroom, she decided they would help someone else by paying it forward and being kind. This developed into a social network which allows K-8 classrooms to connect so that every student in the United States can learn these crucial lessons. Classes for Classes' mission is to build students' social-emotional intelligence by connecting them to care. All C4C projects are crowdfunded. Any teacher in the U.S. can visit classesforclasses.org. That's classes, the number 4, classes.org. Sign up today.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
During a time when the veil between worlds is thinnest, join expert mediums to make contact with angels, departed loved ones, and your highest self. Guided by experts in mediumship, clairvoyance, and spirit guide communication, discover how to harness the wisdom from the other side. Mention discount code DREAM for 20% off when you register for the Wisdom Beyond the Veil at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, October 29th to the 31st. Learn more at eomega.org.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back, and we welcome callers into the show. This is a live show. Bob is in the house, so feel free to call in with a comment, a question, or since our guest is Kat Kanavos, you could call in with a dream and have her decipher what it really means. And let me tell you, I have shared a couple of dreams with her, and she is phenomenal. It's quite interesting and mysterious, and yet it all comes together. So we are talking about Mayhem to Miracles, Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope by Kat and Reverend Ariel Patricia. And again, I want to highlight Kat in the sense that she has her own show, and it's always after my show. Mine is at 6 p.m., hers is at 9 p.m. It's live, there's YouTube video, you can comment, you can call in to the show with our system. You can listen, with our right on the station, or you can go and watch the video. That is every first and third Tuesday at 9 p.m. for the video, the live shows, and yet it streams every week, 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. With the book, there are a lot of people, and when you think about it, Kat, there are all kinds of addictions, so it's not surprising that many of the authors in the whole series of books have come quite far from their addiction and have had a awakening and changed their lives. What do you see and feel about the different stories that include addiction?
Well, that's a great question, Deborah. What I noticed in all three books, so we're talking about over 100 stories. The ones that dealt with addictions, and there are many different types of addictions in here. There's sex addiction in this book, Mayhem to Miracles. There's alcohol addiction. There's drug addiction. There's codependency addictions. Lots of types of addictions, but the thing that broke those addictions were the discovery of a higher power and the reliance on that higher power and realizing that breaking those addictions is just too hard to do by yourself, and that the reliance on that higher power was what made the difference. That's what got those individuals over the hump and realizing that they're never alone. They've got spirit guides and guardian angels, and everybody's rooting for you in heaven. Everybody. They want to see you happy, joyful, fulfilled, and living a purposeful life. A lot of people don't remember, Deborah, that they were born onto the earth plane with a purpose, and that a lot of us, myself included, go through the crappy things that we went through in life, whether it was breast cancer, alcohol addiction, sex addiction, relationships that fell apart, left you in a puddle of tears. All of that is part of being alive, and it's somehow connected to our life purpose. I mean, I remember asking God, why in the world would I have breast cancer 3 times? Like, once wasn't enough, but now it's got recurrence. What did I ever do in this lifetime or past lifetimes that would ever make me feel like I needed to be punished like this? And I remember I had fallen asleep crying, and I dreamt that I woke up, and these 3 spirit guides dressed as monks, my spirit monks, were standing beside the bed, and they looked down at me, and I said, look, I know why you guys are here. I got it. I'm dying. Nobody can survive recurrence. It's a 9 by 11 centimeter area. I don't know anybody that can do that. But you may want to go warn God before I get up there, because I'm going to have some really big bones to pick with him. There's nothing I ever did to deserve this, nothing. And to work so hard the first time and to put my trust in a higher power so much the first time and then have this happen, yeah, you need to go warn them. And I remember my spirit guide just kind of looked at me and they said, don't you remember? And I said, remember what? And they said, you told us before you were born you wanted to come down onto the earth plane during a time when God was being taken out of everything, locked away in a closet, taken out of the school, taken out of public, shoved away. And you were going to, and suddenly science is being worshipped as the new God. And you were going to show that science only goes so far, and then comes God. And we told you we'd be with you every step of the way, and we have been. You are not going to die. And I remember looking at them and saying to them, what in the world was I smoking up there when I said that? And they laughed and turned around and just walked out of my dream. But that was almost 25 years ago, Deborah, and I'm still here. And I had breast cancer 3 times, and I proved 3 times my dreams found the breast cancer that the medical community had missed all 3 times with their scientific tests and all of their equipment. And so, again, science went so far, and then came God. So I'm living my purpose, and I'm putting that purpose and continuing to live that purpose in these books to show the world that, yes, there is a lot of chaos in the world. Yes, there is a lot of mayhem, but its purpose is for us to fulfill our life's destiny, and that in itself is a miracle.
Absolutely. And you were actually on Dr. Oz, The Doctor, CBS, and NBC, sharing your story back then, so more people could hear your journey and take that in for their own journey to save them extra pain and worry and all, just because they knew that you survived after 3 times. And you know, Kat, God doesn't give us cancer or anything like that. It's part of what we choose for life if we want to grow in that area, but then it's not even that too. You know, it's the environment, it's the chemicals we eat. There's so many, you know, it can be hidden trauma. All these things that can happen to the human body by living on Earth. I mean, there are 80,000 chemicals in this country. So you put that all together, and this is why we have cancer, why it's prevalent in other diseases, and until we start doing preventative measures, until the healthcare system start doing preventative. What can we do? And look in that area instead of trying to fix the issue after it's here. That's where we're going, and that's where we need to go. And in actuality, thousands of years ago, that's what they did. That's how they healed, with energy and light and all the preventive real food. Instead of what we have. And yes, it's a whole thing. It's a whole complicated system that we're in that was designed back in the industrial age, and it was all about money and control. So we have to, we're the consumers and we're the voices, so we have to speak up and put our dollars to whole foods instead of packaged preservative foods that can last for 10 years. Anyway,
I agree.
That's another whole show, and I like to say glyphosate is in everything, in the food and all. But so back to the show. But it's out there, and we are in control with our dollars on what we purchase. Let's talk about the bonfire. I mean, that I've experienced by listening to what you experienced not too long ago, you and Peter.
In the book, my story that I put it is actually in part 3, Grief and Loss, Let the Circle Be Unbroken. It's called Bonfire of the Vanities. And Peter and I had just bought a house down here in Florida, and we had our friends come and spend Christmas with us and New Year's with us in our new home. It was right in the middle of COVID, so everything was shut down everywhere, but we were able to stay in the house and watch the fireworks from the porches and stuff, so it was great. And I had purchased my tickets to go back to California. That's where their home is. And I had purchased the tickets for our 2 Siamese cats to go back to California with us. And our friends were going. We were all going to travel together on the airplane. We had seats next to each other. It was going to be a continuation of the party. And the day before we were getting ready to leave, Deborah, I just had this feeling. I don't know how else to describe it other than it was a divine intervention. And it made me feel like I just didn't want to go. Just the thought of going was like, no, absolutely. It's already been determined I'm not going. And so I said to my husband, you go ahead and go, hon. Go check on the house. Make sure everything's all right. I'm sure it is. It's, a condo in a country club. So, what can go wrong, right? You've got security guards and neighbors right there. Just go play some tennis and then come back, and we're going to spend the summer here. Believe it or not, we're in the northern part of Florida, so the summers are glorious. It's not, whereas in the desert it's 122 degrees in the summer. Mm-hmm. So we decided we were going to stay here, and I never thought twice about changing my mind. I just said I'm going to call the airlines, let them know that I'm not going. You go, and I'll see you when you get back. So Peter left. Our friends left. They all were flying together on the airlines back to Rancho Mirage. And the day after Peter got there, he woke up at like 3 in the morning, unable to sleep, could not sleep, went into the living room, turned on the TV, and was watching the TV when the fire alarms went off. And right away he's thinking, oh, great. All the fire alarms in the house all had the batteries put in at the same time. So that's why they're all going off. And he got up to go see if he could, pull them down off the ceiling, get them quiet till morning, when he saw the smoke billowing out over the top of the door to the garage and under the door of the garage. And without thinking, nothing, it didn't compute. He went over and opened the garage door, and when he did, a big ball of fire chased him down the hallway. About the time my brand new Mercedes exploded, the gas tank exploded, and he ran out the front door. And when the house went up in flames, roof fell in, everything was burned to a cinder. It was like a bomb went off. And he called, the phone rang here in Florida, and I didn't recognize the phone number, and I thought, got to be a telemarketer. I'm not going to answer that. And the little voice said, yeah, answer. So I went ahead and answered the phone, and it was actually my neighbor. And I didn't recognize the phone number because she's got a Washington phone number, and that's why I thought it was a telemarketer. And it was my husband, and he said, Kat, I just wanted to tell you that the house burned down. I'm all right, but I'm running around outside with no shoes on, no shirt, just my pajama bottoms, and it was probably about 30 degrees because it was the winter in the desert. It can be very cold. And so he said, I'm all right. I just wanted to let you know. So at first I was like shocked. What do I do? What do I do? And then this voice said, take care of Peter. So I called all the friends that we had in the country club, and they came across the golf course in a flotilla of little golf carts with their lights on and their horns going, and they brought him shoes, and they brought him a shirt, they brought him, clothes to put on, and then they actually gave him one of our friends gave him the keys to a condo that he had been renting out there in the country club, and that's where Peter's been since then, because we've had to rebuild our whole home there. But what I learned from all of this experience is that synchronicities and divine intervention were at play in this story, and that we collect a lot of stuff that we don't really need. I did lose a lot of things that I had, a lot of things from my parents, but they're still in the hallways of my mind. They're still in the drawers in my mind, and I can take them out. and I can look at them and I can play with them. And I tell people all the time, at some point I must have gone into those closets in all of those bedrooms and looked at all those clothes in there that I didn't want to get rid of, all the designer clothing, and said, oh my God, I need to get rid of this stuff. And boom, done. It's all gone. There's nothing left.
Yeah, but you think about the pictures and different things of that sort that you cannot get back. And Peter lost everything that was in the computer, including his latest book. And when I think about him opening that door, it's a blessing and it's a miracle that he did not get burnt and suffocate right there at the doorway. So that in itself is a huge mayhem to miracle, that he is alive. And then the cats, too. As we talked long ago, the cats could have suffocated. You don't know all the things. So, it was a blessing that he survived and got out of there alive and well.
Yes, because the place was just a shell. Everything was burned to a crisp. Even the ceiling, fell in. There was such a strong fire. And our bedroom windows had these bars on them, not to keep people out, but to keep the golf balls from breaking our bedroom windows. So it would have been very hard to climb out of those windows, very hard. I don't know how we could have done it with all the smoke billowing in. But what was interesting was when I talked to Peter on the phone, he said, my phone and my wallet are in the bedroom, and the bedroom is just a furnace. It's all on fire. The bed's on fire. Everything is on fire. And he said, so I don't know when I'm going to be able to have a cell phone again, and all of my important cards, my driver's license, all of that is in my wallet next to the bed, and the bed's on fire. So what was really interesting is after they finally got the fire put out, the fire department got the fire put out, one of the firemen walked into the bedroom, and right beside the bed was Peter's cell phone and his wallet, and it was as if an angel had put their hands around it. It was the only thing in the bedroom that was not a crisp. And his cell phone still worked, and he had all of his cards, everything in his wallet. It was like, okay, you can have all the other stuff, but not this stuff. And
right. That's a huge blessing. Yeah, what a phenomenal experience and story to share with others. And we're going to be going on our next break, but it's a proof that you, Kat, have this inner strength and hope and positivity. Someone else would be down in the dumps for months at a time and wallowing in that. And I think wallowing is good, but maybe not for months at a time. So anyway, we'll be back in a moment, everyone.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times bestselling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love Crying and Laughing Through Mayhem to Miracles. Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
It's a child's job to play, to learn, and to have fun. It's an adult's job to keep them safe. Did you know that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18? Every day, families enter the Children's Advocacy Center because a child's courage to tell someone what happened to them. Keeping our children safe starts with a conversation. This is Michelle Aranger, Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center. Learn more on how to keep your child safe. Visit cacofbc.org. This message made possible by the Fall River Rotary Club.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back. There is still time. Bob can put you through if you'd like to call. Have a question or comment, it's 833-220-1200. But hurry, because the hour is going by quickly. And I would like Kat to share that you're almost ready with your new place. It's already been built, repaired, and new. So that'll be done pretty soon, would you say?
Yes, actually, we're waiting for the windows to go in. And then once the windows go in, then we can actually turn the air conditioning on. And at that point, I'm going to fly out there and spend Thanksgiving with my husband. I haven't seen him in almost 2 months. He's been so busy there putting the house together. And I've been here, keeping the cats and keeping our new place here in Florida going, because we had workmen in here as well. So it's going to be nice to finally see him again over Thanksgiving.
Nice. And it's been, since the fire, it's been close to, 8 or 9 months?
It was December the 5th.
Oh, gee. Yeah, see? So that,
I'm
just
sorry,
that.
January 5th. I'm sorry, January 5th.
Okay. Just your story alone and the face in the pillow, you could have filled that whole book up. Yes. So Kat, as far as what have you learned, as they say, what do you know now that you didn't know then, and how has all these different struggles or challenges, how have they changed your outlook in your life?
Well, I think that the biggest one is the fact that we do have divine intervention. We do have spirit guides and guardian angels, and they work hand in hand with other human beings here in our on Earth. So, for instance, when each time I had a dream that told me that the medical community had missed my breast cancer, the guides didn't say, go find Swami Wami Rama Lama Ding Dong, because I would have gone and done it. They said, go back to your doctors and tell them you need a second set of tests. That's the only thing that's going to find us. And so by listening to my spirit guides and knowing that they were with me every step of the way, I had to go and convince the medical community to do a second set of tests that they didn't want to do because they didn't believe anything was wrong. But what it did do was, since I had the chiefs of everybody working on me, it taught them something and it taught me something. And so between the two of us, we grew into a spirituality together that maybe they wouldn't talk about normally. Maybe, the medical community is all about science, but they realized that science only went so far. And then came a higher power. Right. And they couldn't dispute it.
Right. Beautiful. And when you look at it from the truth of that perspective, then who's to say how many people have been saved because now that particular doctor or oncologist or whoever it may be will really listen to what the person is saying and remember your situation and say, okay, let's just give her the test. So I want to thank you for that, because had you not followed the guide and did what you did, who knows where you would be, number one, and changes in the medical industry have changed because of that.
Yeah, I can guarantee you I wouldn't be alive if I had not listened to those dreams. If I had listened to the medical community, who told me to go home and wait 6 months and come back and they would do another test then, that I was too young for cancer, that it didn't run in my family, and that my blood tests were perfect, my physical exam was perfect, they couldn't feel anything, and so I was not a candidate for breast cancer that to go home. If I had listened to them and done what they said, I wouldn't be talking to you today. I wouldn't, because the recurrence was 9 by 11 centimeters, and it was a bad cancer. It was lobular, and if you remember, there were a couple of people during that time. This was like 7 years ago. I'm sorry, not 7 years ago. It's been almost 25 years. So we're talking 18 years ago. That there were a number of people who were in politics, or they were the wives of politicians, who had come down with lobular cancer, and they were only in stage 2. I was in stage 4 because it had gone into the other breast too, and they died. So I remember when I saw that, I thought, what are the chances of me surviving? But the truth of the matter is I had divine intervention, and I had hope, and I believe that if God had not wanted me to live, He would not have sent me the dream telling me to go to the doctors. He would have just left me alone, and I would have just died.
Right. We have a caller, and we only have a few minutes remaining in the show.
Okay.
Her name is Deborah. Deborah, are you there?
Yes, I just want to call in and say thank you so much. I feel that your message is, and the miracles that I'm feeling right now, are reaching out just across all the hearts of so many people that at this particular time on this earth, really, your message is coming out clear. And thank you for writing the books and sharing all that you do. And Deborah, for having this show and having Kat on and all the goodness and the messages that you're bringing forth. I feel better just listening right now.
Oh, thank you, Deborah. Thank you for calling in and sharing that with us. I think, not a lot of people like to be on air, so I really want to thank you for calling in and sharing your inner thoughts with us.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you. And I'm just going to go for now, but I'll call in again with a few more questions. But thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you. So, Kat, we only have a couple minutes. Do you have, how would you like to, or what would you like to leave with the listeners?
Well, if you enjoyed this show with Deborah Beauvais, my show that I do on Tuesday nights are about dreams, but they're also about our higher powers and how important it is to connect with them through dreams, prayers, and meditation. So I invite you all to join me on Dreaming Healing here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network and watch me, because mine is a video show, and I have had Deborah on there on the video show. And it was great. I mean, we had such fun. So all my guests can be seen by you, and you can call into that show as well, or you can just text into the YouTube channel, and Bob, or whoever is the producer of the show that night, will send me that text, and I will address it.
Very good.
And also, you can also go to my website, which is The Queen of Dreams. You can just go to Queen of Dreams, and have fun on my website. You'll see Dr. Oz on there. You'll see the doctors on there. All kinds of stuff. Just go have a good time on my page.
Yes, yes. There's a lot of information there for everyone to see and read and listen. And just one other thing, Sacred Stories of Transformational Hope, Mayhem to Miracles. The foreword was done by Reverend Dr. Temple Hayes. And also the book was published by sacredstories.com. Just as it sounds, sacredstories.com. And for everyone, first of all, thank you so very much, Kat, for joining me. And
thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Everyone, get the book. Enjoy all the stories. You'll feel inspired. You'll receive the hope and all that was intended in this excellent book. And you'll get a little insight on my journey, too, because there's 3 different stories in there. Yes.
Yes.
And it goes on.
Fantastic stories. Yes, yes.
Yes, our journeys go on and until we're done on Earth. So for everyone listening, share the show. Tell your friends, listen to the show again, because there's always a nugget there that you maybe missed, or later on when you listen, now you're in a different place and you're absorbing more information. Sit quietly. I really feel that is one of the main objectives when you are wanting to connect with the higher source. Sit quietly and just listen to yourself breathe. And then the process will start and you'll never be able to turn back. So for everyone out there, until the next time we come together, heart to heart, au revoir.
Are you seeking a clearer path to love? Then tune in to the Love by Intuition show next week. All designed to your highest good. To contact Deborah Beauvais, owner of Empowered Connections, call her at 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or link on to lovebyintuition.com. Remember, we are all one, and we are all part of the miracle of love.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.